Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Happy Friday morning to everybody out there. We've got a Golden Bachelor fantasy suite to recap here. He's down to his final two ladies. Let's dive right in. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. We'll be live at the 10 a.m. hour on Patreon for exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. And every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. All right, I take notes. I read them back to you. No edits, no jump cuts, just me and you. And we start with Gerry in Costa Rica. He says, do people my age still knock boots? We're going to find out. Gerry tells Jesse he loves the idea of pillow talk. He says, take away those cameras, get the barriers down, just the good old stuff. Before we had those crazy cell phones that got us in trouble, just over there knocking them boots. Gerry says he's in love with Leslie, and this is going to be a problem for Gerry, right? Gerry says there's a warm and safe feeling with Theresa. Which one is it, Gerry? Gerry says he held back from reciprocating, saying he loved Theresa after she said it to him. And then watching Gerry define physical intimacy to Jesse wasn't that precious? Jesse looked so uncomfortable, and I loved it. Normalize Golden Bachelor sex. I wish this show was actually on after Bachelor in Paradise. That way maybe they could say some more naughty words, Let's not pretend like, Jesse's like, oh, we're on Disney. It's like, come on, it's a show about having sex, right? Maybe you find love, maybe you don't, but there's a thing called a fantasy suite. That's not for breath mints and foot massages, right, folks? All right, watching Gerry. Okay, Leslie and Gerry rappel down a 170-foot. So there he is. Of course, waiting for his one to join him in this random tub. That's and by the way, unless there's a heater I don't see, that's got to be a chilly tub, right? Where's the heating? All right, so they rappel down a 170-foot waterfall. She goes, I was hoping for zip lining. He's like, well, not today, Toots. And by the way, am I the only person who doesn't enjoy zip lining? Not because I'm afraid of heights or anything like that. Maybe it's the opposite. I don't get that much of a thrill out of it. You have that initial second where you're like, wee, and then you have 2 more minutes of going, wee. I don't know. I'd rather just be sitting in a gondola with an espresso. All right, that's just me, bougie Dave, not a big zipliner. Leslie says it feels like home, and he says, now we have a story to tell. She says, I love you. And then they canoodle in the waterfall below the pool. Very nice stuff, folks. But again, must be very cold. Can we get, look, hey, I love nature, but can we get a location that has waterfalls that aren't 40-degree water? I'm using Fahrenheit here for my British friends, but, I don't know. I enjoy a good waterfall. Very brisk, though. Not exactly meant for canoodling. At dinner, Gerry says Leslie wasn't asking him hard questions. He was like, ask me the hard questions. And then her response was, when's the last time you had sex? And he's like, all right, not that kind of hard question. Come on. Ask me something a little bit softer. It hasn't been hard since the Reagan administration. The questions. He says, a long time. It's been since he's had sex, and she says it's been a year. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to say whether or not he's had sex since his wife. Who knows? Come on. It's personal, but again, this is the episode of the show. All right. So then they have the morning after tea. They said they didn't sleep much. Gerry, your grandkids are watching. Come on, right? Theresa's turn. Gerry says it's getting difficult to compartmentalize this. And it's like, I understand, Gerry. And you only have 2 fantasy suites. Imagine, like a Ben Higgins here with the full kit and caboodle. Theresa's turn. Let's do it. She tells Gerry how much she and her family love him. He seems confused. He says he doesn't want to hurt her. Oh boy, here we go. And again, is he playing into the producer's tropes to make it look more difficult? I'll tell you what, this is no spoiler. I have no idea who wins this. I have no idea. After watching the first scene with Leslie, I'm going, of course it's Leslie. And then after watching this kind of hesitation with Theresa, I'm going, oh yeah, it's definitely Leslie. And of course, then Theresa makes a little bit of a comeback here. So Gerry says he's thinking, what's Leslie doing right now? Yeah, you don't want Theresa to see this episode. Gerry asked Theresa about her career, which I thought was interesting because I was like shocked. I was like, how do they not have this talk already? And also careers. What do they do? Aren't they retired? What's going on here? Gerry asked her about her career, and she says she was a homemaker. then decided to buy a stock and became a day trader, which I think is pretty cool for Theresa. She's a stock bro. So there's all these like young lacrosse bros selling stocks, and then there's Theresa just doing it old school. So we knew we loved Theresa, now we know why. Let's see if her stock is rising after last night's episode. All right, so Theresa and Gerry agree to the fantasy suites. She says it's her first time sleeping with another man after her husband died. And it's like, first of all, I feel like this is information we shouldn't know, but also it feels really sweet too. It just feels like we're watching, it's literally the first reality show that I think just about anybody watching can root for, right? A lot of these younger reality shows you hate watch or whatever, it's shocking. Hey, you'll get another shot. But the heightened sort of lack of time that we see here, because look, they're on the last, you hate to say it, but they're on their last legs. You're in your late 60s, 70s. You got, the average age. You get the point. We don't need to do the math. This isn't some 22-year-old with abs where you say, oh, you'll figure it out in your 30s. No, they're done. Either it's her or it's the other one. But either way, it's about to be a heartbreak, that's for sure. So then the next morning, Theresa says Gerry saw a side of her he didn't know existed. Whoa, Theresa, go easy. She's like, oh, he saw a whole new side of me. Come on, plug your ears. The kids are watching. It's her first time. Okay, we got that. Gerry admits that he told Theresa he loved her. So I guess that happened off camera. So now Gerry said, I love you to the final three women. And I'm like, look, Gerry, we love a good messy golden bachelor. Go for it. She says she would say yes if he asked her to marry him. Gerry says he's dying inside and in love with both of them. And then the finale is in 2 weeks on November 30th. So we won't have an episode next week due to Thanksgiving. We'll be too busy arguing with our parents over what side of the Middle East war we're on, which, good luck. Here's the thing, whenever you hear your mom say like, yeah, I just don't understand, you're about to hear something that's troubling. That's a different story for a different day. So what do you guys think? Are you guys enjoying Golden Bachelor? Has the initial buzz made its way to the finish line? And by that, I mean, it obviously rated well to start, but are you guys still as entrapped by the golden love energy that's being sent out there? Can this show survive with a different lead? Or was Gerry a once-in-a-generation centenarian? Do I have that right? That's a big word to say first thing in the morning. Either way, let me know what you guys think. Who will be Golden Bachelor? Who will be Golden Bachelorette? These are the questions that we have to ask. At this rate, by the time I'm done here, maybe I'll be the one. No, kidding. Happy to not be in this cesspool. I've had people ask me that in the past. Dave, when you were single, would you have said, no, I watch from afar. I date like the rest of you by, going to loud bars and crowded venues. All right, not The Bachelor. We don't need to see me on TV just trying to get warm in a hot tub, falling down a waterfall. Not on my watch, folks. All right, we'll be back. I got Bachelor in Paradise recap coming up to you next.